Hi class. So let's talk about the reproductive system now, and we will look into the female reproductive system first, followed by the male. So this is looking at the female reproductive system, and we see a lot of structures here, but we will start from the superficial to deep. Okay, so superficially, this part is called the mons pubis. That's your mons pubis. Then this area right here, this is labia majora. Remember, the labia majora has sweat glands and sebaceous glands. We also see sweat glands and sebaceous glands on mons pubis. This flap-like structure here, this is the labia minora, and the labia minora lacks sweat glands and sebaceous glands. We also see few other structures superficially. This little thing right here is called the greater vestibular gland. Greater vestibular gland. And this right here is the bulb of vestibule. These structures have different secretory functions, like they secrete mucus and other minor secretions. Now, if you look here, this yellow shaped structure, this is the ovary. Covering the ovary, the red structure can be divided into several parts, but these finger-like structures that you see here, these are called fimbriae. And fimbriae has a special role in directing the secondary oocyte into the oviduct. So the point is, the ovary releases the secondary oocyte each month, and this secondary oocyte then moves into the oviduct by the action of the fimbriae. More to be discussed in lecture. Okay, and this tube is called the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube or oviduct or uterine tube, same thing. All right, so this is looking at another representation. So what we did is we took the cover of the model off, and this is the inside structures. So again, we see the mons pubis. You also see the labia majora. You see the labia minora. What else do we see? Right here, this structure is called the clitoris. That's the clitoris in females. This is the urinary bladder. This is the bladder. This whole thing is the uterus. The whole thing is uterus. Now, uterus has different layers. Let me change color. The outermost color, the one that I'm lining with green color, this outermost layer, this is called the epimetrium. Then this layer, where you see all the muscle layer is called myometrium. That's the myometrium. And when we have contractions, it's the smooth muscle of the myometrium that starts contracting. This is controlled by the autonomic nervous system, and that's why obviously females, we cannot control our contractions during childbirth, right? And it's strong smooth muscle layer. So that's myometrium. And then the darker red layer, if you see, let me change color. This dark red layer that you see, that I'm actually pointing with blue, this dark red layer is your endometrium. That is your endometrium, and this is the layer that is shed during every menstrual cycle. Females, when we menstruate, it's not pure blood, right? There is some mucousy thing coming out, there is some tissue like material coming out. Why is that? Because when we are undergoing period every month, it's the endometrial lining that is shed, which has tissues and epithelial tissue and some connective tissue as well. All right, this part right here is the cervix. The cervix lead to this muscular area, very strong muscular area, that is your vagina. And the vagina opens into the external urethral orifice. That's your external urethral orifice. Okay. All right. This is another representation, and this is showing us the ovary and uterus model. This yellow structure right here is ovary. We have one on each side. So that's the ovary. These finger-like structures, these are fimbriae. Then the fimbriae leads to this area. This area is called ampulla, the swollen area. The ampulla leads to a neck-like area that's called isthmus. And then the isthmus leads to this part. This is called the uterine part. Together, starting from the fimbriae all the way to the uterine part, together, this whole thing is called the oviduct or fallopian tube or uterine tube. Okay. This big structure is the uterus. This is the uterus. It has few areas. The outermost layer is the epimetrium. The middle muscular part is myometrium. And then the inner darker layer, that is the endometrium. This is the vagina. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not the vagina. Okay. Okay. This is the opening of the uterus, and this is the cervix. Cervix right there. What else? This ligament is called the broad ligament. So this is looking at the external structure of the female reproductive parts. There are few things that we can identify here, and we see few muscles here. So you see this muscle, this muscle, this, and this muscle. So let's label these muscles. The one right here is called superficial transverse perineal muscle. So this is superficial transverse perineal muscle. This is ischio-cavernous muscle. And then this one right here is your bulbospongiosus. Okay, then this opening right here is urethral opening. I should cross it out. Urethral opening. And this is the vaginal opening. You also see the greater vestibular gland, and right here this one is the bulbovestibule in this model. All right, moving on to the female breast model. Few structures that we see externally, this whole area which has a light pink color, this is called the areola. These are the nipples, well, just one nipple here, and then the areola has glands. These glands, do you see these swollen glands? These are called areolar glands. If you look into a section of the boob, there are a few structures that we can identify. These structures are called lobules. And this is lactiferous duct. And the lactiferous duct form the swollen area called ampulla. And I think that's it. About the boob model. Moving on to the female reproductive system. Actually, I'll start with a new video because it'll take time.